guys, it's Ingrid Michelle Williams, and I'm your 180 life coach. And let's talk about it, okay? So, hopefully, I've had a good day. I've had a very crazy day. I had to take dogs to the dog doctor, I had to look after mommy, but it's my pleasure, right? It's my pleasure. But I wanted to make sure that I got this message. So, I have energy. I'm just excited today. I don't know why I'm excited. I guess because I get to talk to you and we get to talk about it. Hopefully, you had an opportunity to go on to the podcast. What I will tell you, and I don't know who's going to get this message and when you're going to get it, and this is so classic Ingrid, between silliness and seriousness. That's who I am. But it's like me throwing seeds. It's like my contribution back to people because I love people and because I spent years of my life, years, guys, trying to figure myself out, trying to understand life, what it was about, not fully living the way I could have been living and enjoying myself, and too much of trying to unravel what was holding me back. And it is my opportunity and my hope and prayer that I can save you some time and bring a little bit of clarity of what I was trying to discover, because it was like one day God just gave it to me and I was like, what you wait so long for? Why? And the crazy part, my daughter said, Mom, I think you're at a stage of your life. Not trying to call you old, but hell, I'm 56 and I'm happy for it, okay? But she said, I think you're at a point in your life where you've learned some things and you just want to give them back to people. And I realized when she said that, it's so true. It's so true. But I struggled with this thing until January of this year. I struggle with it. And it's like now I look around and it's so clear. And so when we talk about awareness, if you listen to the podcast, go back and listen to it. Listen to it again, because a section might really resonate with you. And just like me, when I have a good book, I will go and I will look at it over and over and over again. So if you have your becoming manual, and I'm going to show it to you because I'm trying to hold my phone and do this with you. This is a printed copy, but you can go online to 180lifecoach.com and you will see on the becoming, I think it's on the becoming page, where it is a link to go to the podcast and it's a link to download your becoming manual. I made this out of my own heart, and I wanted to get all the things out of my head and hopefully leave breadcrumbs where people can figure, right? And so the first part is called the awakening. And that's where, if you want to build, you can go to that section. It's a very easy read, and I try to do visuals. And if you see, the young lady is looking in a mirror, and these are all based off of likenesses of myself. And you see the caterpillar in the cocoon, because I was walking around like an ugly little caterpillar for so much of my life. But awakening is also when awareness happens. And I say maybe sometimes stopping to look in the mirror, because it took me a moment in time. I had been trying to self-medicate. I had been trying to pretend I was smiling. I was surviving instead of living. I was depressed. The doctor was trying to put me on medication, telling me, oh, you need to take these pills. You need to take the pill. And I refused. I took the prescription, but I refused. And then life just kept lifing. So many events, when you think that you can't go any lower, things just kept happening. But what I realized is that I had been ignoring. I had been trying to figure, but I couldn't. And then one day I took a long look in the mirror and I had to confront myself. And so in this process, sometimes you have to be willing to, not sometimes, let me take that back. You're going to have to be willing to get honest. And so many people are trying to stay busy because they don't want to deal with having the awareness that there's something going on with me. There's something in my life that's not addressed. There's something that's preventing me from being the best that I can be. And not even the best, let me take that back. There's something that is altering me from being who I was meant to be. And so when I say that, it could be something like, have you ever just been bothered by somebody who just gets on your nerves? They just irritate you. You like, I hate people like that, right? And we don't ever stop to think why. We just like, I don't like people like that. Let me give you an example. I had a huge problem with anybody who questioned my integrity. Like if somebody was like, she lying, or if somebody said a lie on me, or if they said something about me that wasn't true, you know how they say those be fighting words? I would be ready to fight, okay? If you wanted to tick me off, lie and say something about me. Say, oh, she just a selfish person. She just a nasty person. What you mean? Who are you talking about? I would be ready to fight, guys. And I never really questioned. It was just like, I don't like when people try to tell me what I am and you don't know nothing about me. But when I really stopped and took hold in my thoughts, the reason why it was a trigger for me, and you know how they say, wherever there's a trigger, there's a trauma. I don't like to use psychological terms. I try to say things that I feel in everyday language that people can digest, because I've tried to read the psychology books and I felt lost. I felt overwhelmed with the terms, the cerebral, it's like, just tell me what's going on and how I can fix it, okay? But I said awareness starts with asking the right questions. And I always say that's what a good therapist does. She knows how to ask the right questions, because if you ask the right questions, people will start to recall. They'll start to say things that they go, oh my God, I hadn't thought about that in years. And so part of my dislike of people who did not have integrity, because I don't like them either, or people who question my integrity. Now, it's okay to say I don't prefer a personality in a person, or certain traits bother me. But when I say it would piss me off, it was not your normal feeling. And I never thought about it until I really said, why? Why does this bother me so much? And when I allowed myself to really think about it, when I was young, when I was a child trying to grow up, I had people lie on me all the time. I had one person in particular, let's go back to the mother wound. My mom would tell people lies about me from the time I was a child until I was an adult. I would come home, I've been in Georgia for 36 years now, and I would come home on a random, just coming by. And I'll never forget one time my granddad was like, you don't look like you starving to me. And I got to laugh. I said, what made you think I was starving? He said, because that's what your mama said. Y'all was down there, y'all ain't had no food. And it would anger me because I didn't realize how bad it was. I didn't realize, because nobody is coming back to say, hey, this is what I heard. It was in an innocent moment that he asked me that question, but it had happened in so many instances. When I was a teenager, having someone on a business trip with my mom come up to my mother and look at me and say, she doesn't look like a bad child to me. And of course, I'm thinking, why would you think I'm a bad child? Right? And so that became a weed as well as a plant. And if you listen to the podcast, you'll know what I'm talking about, because the plant that it came and made roots in me was the fact that I've lived my life with the highest of integrity, because I didn't want anybody to question what I was or who I was. And so it made me stay away from crime, bad people, situations that people were doing things that they had no business. I didn't want to have any association. So there was a plant that grew, right, from that moment. But there was also a weed. And the weed was the highly defensiveness of who I was, and the people pleasing, showing up for other people because I felt like I needed to do this because I don't want someone to think a certain way. That is awareness. When you can understand, when you can look within inside yourself and not just look over the behavior, but to say and to stop to ask the pertinent questions so that we can get to the right answers. So before, I had awareness that something was off, but I did not know how to start walking back into giving myself the right explanation. Now, I have a video on that same page, and I can't even remember what I named these pages, to be honest with you. I want to say maybe it was Start Your Becoming. I don't know. Okay. But there's a video. If you go through it, the website doesn't have a whole lot of pockets. It literally has the content, and we're going to keep building, right? That I felt you needed, that I needed to try to give and share. But I put a video out that I showed my family recently that I think is so powerful. For me, making it was powerful. Everything tried to stop me from making that video. All my stuff got lost, my pictures, the file got corrupted. And I decided to push through, right? So the video that's out there is not the finished product. I want to go back and make some refinements, right? But that's also an issue that I learned, that I developed from highly being criticized, is that I had this thing about feeling like I needed to be perfect. So everything I did, I would be like, okay, I need to tweak this. I need to change this. I don't want to put this out because I want to make sure that if it's out, nobody's going to judge me, right? See, that character thing comes back in. But I put it out and I said, you know what? I'm not holding back anymore. If it's something I need, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like the manual I'm holding now is not perfect. I found out I duplicated a page. I corrected it. And I said the second version will be better. But if you watch that video, one of the things I said is that when two broken people come together, it barely ever works, right? Because you have things that are going on that has caused you to show up in your life, and then we combine our lives with another person, aka marriage, relationships, and now we're battling because everybody is fighting to be right. Everybody is fighting because they feel they need to. And the truth is, once I think when we come into an awareness that these are triggers for us and we can start to do the internal work, now we can better work with our spouses. Now we're not fighting them, we are working together. And why do I mention that? Because awareness is so powerful. It's so powerful. But you can't stop at awareness, right? You got to ask the questions. So one of the examples I think about with my husband, and I just told him, I said, oh, you about to be all over the internet. I said, you're going to be all over. You're going to be internet famous. But one of the things that I've never just dug in with him, but I was telling him, I'll make jokes and say, as soon as you just let me be right and you just do whatever I ask you to do and don't question it. And I was being sarcastic, but I say that to him to mess with him a lot of times because he fights me. And I always would say, I don't know why you fight me. That's a question, but it's not the right question. That's the only reason I'm telling you the story, because I want you to listen with me. So one of the things I can say is don't do this. Like if I'm in a garage, David, make sure you let the garage down. Don't keep it up because, it lets the pollen in, my asthma. And then he'll leave it up. And I'm like, why did you leave the garage up? And he'll have his reason, because of the dogs. Or I'll say, don't do this. I can ask him not to do 50 things. And not just because I'm trying to be bossy or controlling, but there's a reason behind me asking those 50 things. And he will not listen to not one of them. He will fight me all the time. And it caused so much friction because then I'll be like, but why did you do this? Like, I told you to do this because and I'm explaining, and he doesn't care. I forgot. No, you didn't forget. I just told you, right? That can cause an argument, and it has caused arguments. But as I continue to become, I realize that it's not that he doesn't know that I ask these things. It's the fact that he doesn't do them because he feels like I am exhibiting too much control. And these are things that I've learned over time being with him, is that he has a super strong amount of interdependence. And to have someone, be like, they your mama, and asking you to do stuff, sometimes that's natural to fight, right? But there are things that are practical things that he just will not do. And so I started thinking about it, and I was like, it's bigger. It's bigger. And he may not even realize that he's doing it or why he's doing it. Now, what would be a better question and a growth for a relationship is to say, babe, I notice whenever I ask you to do things, it seems like you don't do them. Do you feel like I'm trying to be overbearing and controlling? Yes. Well, has somebody in your past made you feel like that before? Was it anybody you dated? No. So, was it somebody like, did your mom make you feel like she was always controlling you? Not my mom, but maybe my dad. My dad always been, and then sometimes when you just come with love and quietness, people, when they don't feel like they have to protect themselves and be guarded, they will start to speak their truth. And once you have awareness that it's not personal, they're not fighting me, they're fighting an experience that was traumatizing. And a lot of people won't think that it's traumatizing, but we'll fight against what we don't want more of. That happened to me. I didn't have control of it, but I have control of it now. So that person who irritates you, that person who, I can't stand people with red hair. Oh, they get on my nerves. It could be something crazy like that. And you don't even think about it. You're thinking redhead people. And then you stop and you go, oh my God. It was this little boy when I was in college, used to get on my nerves. He worked at the bookstore. And every time I tried to pick up a book, every time I went in that bookstore, that boy would give me problems. And your brain has made an association with the color of somebody's hair. And it was something that you weren't even aware of. So what's my challenge? I'm glad you asked. So this week, as you go through the remainder of your week, pay attention. It's going to start the process of awareness, and pay attention to what things irritate you, what things trigger you, right? Like when you go in the bathroom and the seat is not down. Why is that irritating you so much? Well, it could be because you just don't want to fall in the toilet. Or it could be because you grew up in a house full of men who never let the toilet down. And you never had an opportunity to really feel comfortable because you had to share that space, right? And so now when your husband, your son forgets to let the toilet down, because now we know and we're going to keep building, you make different choices. You reprogram yourself in your responses and realize you don't have to respond and show up the way that you have in the past. I hope this has helped you, because when I talk through situations with you guys, and that's why I wanted to do the Let's Talk About It, because the truth of the matter is I'm blind. Okay, I'm blind. So you're blind, you can't see, you need to wear sunglasses. Okay. Okay, so I'm dating myself. Didn't I tell you I like to be fun and serious at the same time? But no, when I'm doing my podcast, I literally have notes, things I want to touch on, and I have my glasses on, and my nose is so small. It is what it is. And so literally my glasses smashed my whole face. And I told my husband, I said, I don't want to be on no podcast and looking like auntie. So I wanted to have a opportunity where you guys can get familiar with me, familiar with my face, familiar with my voice, and we can just kick this crap in the butt. Because when I tell you, I am so light in my mind, in my heart. When I went through everything I had to go through, I'm grateful, because I could not be this person talking to you. I have endured people who have tried to take advantage of me because I'm trying to be nice. I've had people that I have poured and given much more than what they ever should have gotten. And I don't regret those things because they were part of my process, right? But now I can look back and I can understand why I did those things, and I choose differently every day. I am so grateful because I pray for those people. I forgive those people, because guess what? Whatever was meant for harm, it did not manifest. We are still here. We're still growing. And most importantly, I'm still becoming. So, would y'all quit and go get the manual, get the book, listen to the podcast? And if you want to do anything to support me, just subscribe. Go follow the podcast. Go on Facebook, wherever you like to get your updates. You can do Facebook, YouTube, um, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm on all of those. And I feel like whichever way, follow on all because I want to put information different, but they do get some of the same information. But that is a blessing for me because it allows me the opportunity to know that everything is going. I had over 10,000 followers on my Facebook page, and I had to change my message because I realized that what was there was not what I wanted. And so I wiped the whole page. But of course, my daughter said, because you stopped posting, Mom, you got kicked off the algorithm. And it helps to make sure that you get the information and it is in the right algorithm. So you guys be blessed. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll talk to you.